Okay. I mean, I'm trying to minimize my noise. Did you hear background noise or no?
Like, bare, not really.
Okay.
Not really
Hopefully,
at all.
hopefully not. Of course.
Oh, there you are. I see your TikTok
Oh,
notification. Hi, Lex.
bonus everybody.
Wholeness. Wholeness.
Hello, 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 TikTok people.
Okay, so right now we're on TikTok and Clubhouse. We're live.
Yes, we is.
We did it. We did it.
We did it.
Yo.
So Infinity is on sound. So if you hear wholeness, see, you could join me.
On TikTok too?
Probably.
There's a feedback.
You think there's gonna be a
You're saying
feedback?
everything twice.
Oh yeah. Oh. Oh.
If I joined you, it probably would be I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we could try it if you want.
Go ahead. Let's try. Let's test
Right.
it. Somebody said it's always the girls with the big forehead that are so fine. I've never been called a big forehead. That's the one thing. I don't know. I don't think I have. I've seen people with big forehead. I don't have a big forehead. I've seen people. It's too bad.
I kind of see what he's talking about, though.
The big forehead. You think? I don't know.
Yeah, here on this video.
On this video, maybe I don't know. Who knows? It's a good thing that I'm, over that space on, in my life. Me by Jesus. Hey, me by Jesus. Wholeness. We're relaxing into this conversation because this is a deep one. So if you're ready for an in-depth conversation, we'll be talking Pluto. So
Yeah, this is deep.
this is gonna be deep. So yeah.
Where's your Pluto placement? Which be?
I don't know.
Where's your Pluto?
Like everybody else is in Pisces.
Not everybody.
I don't know. I think.
Your generation. How is your Pluto in Pisces?
It's not.
Your Pluto's in Pisces, which be?
I'm like right at the border. Border.
No.
Am I wrong? Am I? Oh, don't tell me I have to look at the chart. I have the chart.
Hi, Heather. Yeah, okay. See, what you're saying makes sense because yours is in Virgo. It's right before mine, which is in Libra. Which be, if your Pluto was in Pisces, you'd be like 100 years old.
Well, I am 100 years old. See.
You'd be like,
I
yeah.
am 100 years old. I don't know. Let me look at the chart and then I'll let you know. It's funny enough, Pluto is not one of those things that we are like overly concerned with, which is interesting, you know. So
Why?
why? It's too close to the soul, or is it too close to death?
Well, here's the thing.
uh,
Pluto is the planet that is the farthest away from Earth. And so when you're dealing with plutonic energy, you have to tap deeper into your consciousness to reach it.
are you guys
See,
lazy? Is that what Infinity is saying? You guys are too lazy to go deep with it.
You have to, like, think about it.
The
Moon
personal
energy, right?
planets,
You'll
yeah.
feel that. You feel the moon. It's right there. It changes signs every 2.5 days. You feel that energy. You can flow with the energies of the moon. You can flow with the energy of Mercury. We feel when Venus is doing something. We feel, even people who aren't even into astrology, they'll be like, wait a minute, Mercury must be in retrograde or something, because they kind of already know certain things that are happening in their space consciously that's making them understand, okay, something's happening. Pluto deals with the subconscious, and you have to tap deep into yourself, and dare I say it, do shadow work to really
Do the shadow work.
Yes, to
Go
really
in the
understand
shadows.
what doing.
Go in the shadows.
And if you're not doing the shadow work, then you know what Pluto does? It comes in like a
Wrecking ball. Okay. So Joey Beautiful says time for all black people to move to Africa and enjoy wealth and freedom and power.
Tell him I agree. I agree.
I'm sorry. That's so
going
funny.
Going to Africa right now sounds like a beautiful idea.
It's I think the black people in Africa will have issues with afterwards.
Well, some of them will, but guess what? There are certain countries that
That's so
people
funny.
to move there, and I want to say, which one was that? Was it Liberia? I think it was Liberia. And there's another country that are welcoming African Americans with open arms and actually paying African Americans to come there and to build their businesses there and stuff like that. So there's opportunity.
I understand, but the all part is where you would, the all thing is if you can get anything to do anything, good. You have magic.
My Pluto. One thing I gotta say about that.
The all part.
Anybody who says it's time for
all anything.
All black people to move to Africa,
I know.
Can you imagine what this country would be if all of any type of ethnicity?
All of anything, Pluto in Libra.
Yes.
Pluto in Libra.
That sounds more like it.
You're like
That sounds more like it.
Pluto in Libra, equality, balance, also with marriage. Balance of power issues.
Yes.
Yeah, so a lot of people with the solar plexus issues. So yeah, just to say, my only issue with you, Joe, is the all of anything. All of anything is you're crazy. I don't care what your statement is. Whenever you put all of anybody, if you could get all people to agree, this would be a peaceful planet. You know what I mean? All is never gonna happen. That's not. Yeah, I don't. Sorry, but anyway, we digress. So
yeah, let's digress from that because
yeah,
he doesn't want it with you or
all of anything. I don't care what it is. It's just the old part. You know what I mean? The old part is like a big no. We're talking about Pluto in Aquarius. So that's what we'll be talking tonight. So we'll be doing the deep dive. We are simulcasting. If you hear a voice in the air, this is Infinity. She's liking the live right now. Thank you so much, Infinity. And so we are going to be talking Pluto. One of the reasons Infinity has been talking about, wanting to talk about Pluto, but one of the main reasons right now is this whole month and even last month is full of Pluto energy, Plutonian energy. And so it is a pretty interesting period because the solar eclipse of April 20th will actually be the sun square, right? Did I say square, right? The sun square Pluto. And whoa.
So right now, the sun is sextile Pluto, correct?
Yeah, right now since the new moon of March 20th, we have the sun sextiling Pluto for like this whole month. And then here we are with the energy of the solar eclipse, the sun squaring Pluto. So a lot of things, are going to be happening. And so please bear with us. I know the format is going to be a bit different tonight. So if you want to deep dive, stay. Otherwise I'll have the recording that I can play some part. So, all right, Infinity. What is the history of Pluto? Do you want to delve into that aspect of things?
The history of Pluto. You're talking about like the mythology of it?
Yeah, the mythology of Pluto, yes.
Oh no.
No.
You tell that story.
Well, I'll start it this way. I think pretty interesting is the debate regarding Pluto. So if we're looking at the astrology or astronomy of Pluto, so this is always this Pluto itself is a point of contention as to when it was discovered, and of course there's another point of contention: is it a planet? And so is it an asteroid? And in whatever the debate is, it obviously has a big influence. And because of its elliptical orbit, sometimes it would appear way closer than other planets that go more on a circular orbit. So there's a couple of aspects of Pluto. And of course, the mineral here is plutonium, which is oil. So as you know, we've been running on plutonium, right? The whole world, like if you're remotely using oil, right, for anything, which is like your car, your electricity, everything is running basically on plutonium. And so you can actually say that we are in Pluto's age even. So in terms of the power of this is like, very significant. I think whatever your debate is, this is one of the furthest planet from in our solar system. And what you have is also the beginning of the Kuiper's belt. And so I've talked about, I've talked about the Kuiper's belt because this, I always feel that this is the beginning of of our energetic field. So when you start talking about the size of the soul itself and then your energetic field, this is where you would be like heading like Pluto. Now, associated with Pluto is the idea of not just death, but rebirth, and not just any type of death, like really gruesome type of death. So if you're talking about just aging type of death, we're talking Saturn. But Pluto is like all of the other stuff that you could think of that are like really gruesome. So in terms of like, the history of Pluto itself, I think looking at, whether it's an asteroid, whether it's a planet, what kind of energy are we looking at, the aspect of death, and all of that is here. And then, of course, the idea of taboo. And I think for as much as we think Pluto going into the subconscious and what the depth of us, this is a pretty Mars-like planet. And so Infinity will know why I am like really, excited about Pluto, because you can actually compare the idea of Pluto like this. So Mars is the idea of survival of the individual, while Pluto is the survival of the species. So Pluto's energy will kill every one of you for the survival of the planet, basically. So I looking at that energy, I thought it was pretty interesting. But the mythology of it is that the Kronos, right? After the overthrow of Kronos, the three sons, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, divided up the universe between them. So Zeus is ruling the heavens, Poseidon is ruling the sea, and Hades, aka Pluto, rules the underworld. Right. And so and in terms of the idea of death and rebirth comes to us through Pluto's wife, Persephone. And I know Infinity and I will definitely do the whole thing with Persephone, because that's a great goddess to get into. So So the Pluto is not only the god of death, but also the god of fertility, okay, and abundance. So so again, Hades is known as Pluto or Plutus by the Romans, which means rich one. So the word Pluto is also translating into rich, into discharge, dismiss, as well. So it's the Latin word for rich, by the way. So it is. So therefore, you're associating this
Are you
with
saying the word witch or the word rich?
rich RI, meaning you got money, rich.
Okay. Just making sure.
No, we're talking abundance, baby. Like so
Right.
we're talking abundance, rich, like money, fertility, abundance. This is this energy here. So and then the prefix dis, so discharge, dismiss are good examples. So getting rid of something, and not just getting rid of something, but like when you dispose of it, and there's always a process of how you would dispose of things. So it's not just removing, it's like the idea of removing and releasing, getting rid of the thing as well. There's always a process to that. So what we're looking at is going into the subterranean world. So this is the material world, which is key because there's, in terms of playing and where Pluto is and where we are, you may even say we live here. This is our abode, right? So the idea of also not of remote is here as well. So the myth here, again, returning to the myth, the underworld is a subterranean kingdom where the souls of the dead await for judgment. So heroes would go here, evildoers would go here. So the key is that they prevent the souls who go to the underworld are prevented from leaving by this three-headed guard, what they call this dog, Cerberus, or the so-called hellhound. Now, this is Pluto in disguise, wearing a helmet of invisibility. This was given to him by the Cyclops. He spends his whole life like in this invisible helmet. So, in terms of coming to the above ground, Pluto doesn't really go above ground very often, except on few occasions, and one of them, that's when he does meet his wife, or fell in love with the goddess Persephone. And of course, there's like a whole story with Persephone where they fall in love, and then Persephone's mother is of course very upset by the loss of her daughter. So the agreement between Pluto and Persephone's mother is to actually say, okay, you get Persephone for 2/3 of the year, and then I get Persephone for 1/3. So you have the seasons now being separated between summer and spring, and then of course winter. And of course, with the idea of winter is that there is no birth during winter. This is the dead world. This is the dying world. And so when Persephone goes underground, there's no birth, and hence why the idea of winter. So they ended up not having any children because of this. Okay, so I think the thing they got out of it was the flower called Narcissus, right? That is the flower that is birthed, that Hades comes to get Persephone's in. So so to take away Persephone, in either case, that's the death of So, but in either case, this is part of the myth of Persephone's going under, in the underground, on the underworld, and then of course that love story. So there's a lot of symbolism to the seasons here, and the idea of death again, of rebirth and death, is also here. When I talk about the survival instinct, so it's not just survival of the individual like Mars, but the survival of the species. So the survival of the so when we think about the world, it's animal instinct. It's also the idea of animal instinct, but the understanding, like you can't go into your higher self and forget your lower self or your animalistic self. And it's always a reminder of your most basic instinct that it's here. And this is why, yeah, the illusion of innocence usually dies away with the Plutonian idea, because you are aware of the reality of death and birth and rebirth, through the process of going into the underworld. Hence why the idea of you can actually really see yourself. If you can see yourself, then you become a sophisticated person, basically. So I'll end it here, Infinity. So because by the way, the idea of the collective shadow is here. In terms, because of the idea of Pluto being the survival instinct of the species wide. Okay, so it is the not just a personal consciousness, but the personal unconsciousness is here within the collective shadow, with Pluto. So Pluto, the key thing about Pluto with the collective shadow, when it comes to the sins of the father, this is what the generation after is paying. So meaning that because it's part of the unconscious, so a lot of the sins that the current generations would be paying for, they are unaware of or have not committed it, because it's the previous generation sins that they are paying for. And I thought that was pretty interesting. Because of the suppression of the memory, so you also have the idea of suppression, repression, all of that here, because these are a lot of the memory. The reason for the suppression and the repression is because to survive, you may need to forget or block part of your memory. So like, let's say if something happened to you as a child and is very traumatic, it will go into your subconscious and become part of the unconscious, and because if you were to remember that moment, you wouldn't be able to survive. So the key is survival is more important than your memory, basically. And so whatever it takes, Pluto. So death itself is not just death. It's more like the rebirth, the recycling of nature that you're looking at, and at its very rawest state is the Pluto energy. Want to go for it?
Wow. So I just kind of wanted to do some basic Pluto housekeeping.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody on your live asked, when is Pluto moving out of Aquarius? So I want to first state that Pluto is a generational planet. So generally, generational planets move a lot slower because they're further out. Pluto generally stays in a sign for about 20 years, which is basically the span and time of a generation. So the people that are on this earth right now are probably people who had Pluto in Libra, Pluto in Virgo, Pluto in Scorpio, Pluto in Sagittarius for like the younger ones, And then we still have our parents who had Pluto in Leo and Pluto in Cancer. So those are probably the five basic Pluto placements that are on this earth right now. And this is what I mean when I say Pluto is a generational planet. We don't even know Pluto and these other planets because we were not alive during that time. So the basic movement of Pluto goes as follows. Pluto entered Aquarius on March 23rd. Okay, then Pluto is going to have a retrograde, and we talk about retrograde where the planet seems to move backwards. Energetically, Pluto is going into retrograde, and it's going to regress back into Capricorn from June 11th into January 20th, 2024. So what does that mean? That means that right now we are getting a taste of what Pluto is about to do in Aquarius.
For the next 20 years.
Right, for the next 20 years. So we're getting that taste, and then it's going to go back into Capricorn because there's some things it's got to pick up. Anytime a planet goes into retrograde, it's going back to finish business. It's going back to tie up loose ends. So there's still some things that need to be worked through as it pertains to Pluto in Capricorn. So it's going to be doing that from June 11th into January 20th, 2024. Then it's going to come back into Aquarius, and then it's going to go back into retrograde in September 1st of 2024, going back into Capricorn one last time. And then it's going to go back into Aquarius November 19th, 2024, and it's going to be there all the way into 2043. Okay, until it enters Pisces. So, basically, people who have Pluto in Pisces, they won't be born until 20 years from now. So, that's basically how Pluto is going to move. It's going to be a very long transit. So, Pluto and Aquarius, do you want to talk about the aspect to the sun, which be?
So you want to throw it back to me?
Yeah, of course. I'm throwing it back to
you. She's like throwing it back.
You're the one that studied.
She's, oh, you funny. She's like, you're funny. So my thing in looking at Pluto in Aquarius is the idea of change, of the idea of and I know, like, we always talk about, like,
death and rebirth,
the death and rebirth, but it is, so we're talking about generational changes, though, rebirth in general, and so here we are in Aquarius, and we're taught, it's supposed to be like the Aquarius age is going to bring in all this technology, all of this. And Infinity and I, you had started that conversation is to that this might be a regression here before we really head into this age of just technology. And I think we could see that a little bit of that with that law that's trying to ban TikTok. And and I'm serious, like, that's what you're seeing. And that may be successful because of this energy because there's the idea of elimination, suppression. This is why I talk about that. So repression, suppression, especially for survival. And if a generation is trying to survive, and before its death, you're going to have a movement of backwardness into either older technology or non-technology or whatever, like, or the
Well,
Stone Age. Go ahead.
can I just say this?
Uh-huh.
Because I wanna go into some of the keywords of Pluto. They're the ones that we always say, like you said, the death, rebirth, transformation. But Pluto is, we talk about power, right? But Pluto also brings fear and dread. Pluto also, it's talking about darkness in general. It's also upheaval and unearthing. So it's got some of the qualities of Uranus and some of the qualities of Saturn when you think about it. And so when you apply that to what's happening with technology, I've been saying this and I will keep saying this. It's not going to do what you think it's going to do. It's just not. So it's one of those things where we're going to see. But I guarantee you that this thing with AI and with this new whatever is going on, it's going to bring people's awareness into the darkness that is really out there. And it's already starting to touch on that now when we talk about the different entities and how they're showing up through AI. So I don't want to get too far into what could be considered conspiracy theories.
It will, but it will delve into the realm of paranoia. Yes, all of
And
that.
there you
Yeah.
go.
I mean, I had to.
And also the occult
Yes.
and occultic matters.
So
this is all Plutonic energy, and this is what Pluto is bringing to Aquarian energy, which is technology, small groups, networking, platonic relationships, even family, even your coworkers, your social media, all of those things.
yeah, and again, I think Aquarius itself would be the positive change, better world, everything we're changing. However, I think the dark aspects of Pluto will be challenging all of those changes.
It will be
It
challenging
will
all
be
of those changes.
yeah, and because what is being uncovered is all the fears, right? All of the fears that we would have regarding change.
And let's
Would
talk
show
about
up
those
first.
fears because it's
Yeah.
already starting to happen.
Yeah.
Somebody sent me an article about what is it? Influencers will no longer be paid on Facebook and Instagram. They are going to suspend that whole thing where you can go on Instagram, become an influencer, and get paid. They're no longer going to be paying influencers. So this is a move of Pluto in Aquarius. But again, Pluto's going to be regressing back into Capricorn. So this is a sneak preview of what we're going to be seeing when Pluto goes in Aquarius for the next 20 years.
And one other thing here that's significant to the definition of Pluto is taboo and prohibition. Okay, so think about prohibitions and taboo. So social forbidden, disapproval, putting under bans, right? All of that. This is this energy, and don't so marked off as well as remember all of the disband, disassemble, yeah, all of that is here energetically, and again, remember it's a rebirth. Right, do it's also like recycling, rebirth, all of that. So but the death part happens as well. So a lot of things that the energy of Pluto will want to always return back to that nature, to the raw state. It will want to return back to its raw state. So that means it will want to destroy so that to maintain the animalistic aspect of nature. Hence, that whole idea of that the push of Aquarius to be higher, whatever, like higher consciousness, it's a push against that. So this friction, you can look at it, and I had talked about this in the brain. And if you look at my videos this week, I'm doing a lot of stuff on brain. So I don't know if you find that boring. I'm finding it fascinating. So in the brain, right before you get to your higher, the high state of your, consciousness, you run into your lower self and in its base animal state, so which is that part of that amygdala. It's the between the amygdala and the medulla oblongata you're running into. So a lot of times, and I know some people have come into my life when they start talking about the reptilians, especially, if they know I speak, I talk spirituality, and they say, oh yeah, you're a metaphysician, and they'll start talking about some of the conspiracy stuff regarding reptilian and regarding the whatever conspiracies, and not understanding that these are different parts of the brain that they're talking about, and then this is a part of that fear center that will go back. Like some parts of the brain will activate right before you go into your higher state, and this is that. This is, remember, when we're talking about the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto are these higher states, even though we're talking about going into the underworld. This is part of the soul still. So hence you'll see that this struggle with Pluto is humanity wide, not individually wide. So when we talk about individual ego, we go back to Mars retrograde and that effect. Well, when we talk about collective ego, here we are at Pluto.
Well, can I speak to that really quick? I
Sure.
just want to do a soft pushback on
Okay,
that.
no, go ahead. You can do a hard pushback on it.
It's a soft pushback. I agree. But here's the deal, and I want to repeat what I said at the beginning of this room. Pluto it is a generational planet, so it is dealing with the collective, yes. But the more you are tapped into yourself, the more shadow work you do, the more individualized Pluto becomes in your life. So this is what I'm learning about generational planets and the far out planets and the slow moving planet. And this also goes for the goddesses we talked about, the planetoids. Mm-hmm. If you're harnessing that energy and you're tapping into your subconscious and you're doing your shadow work and you're daring to become aware in areas you weren't aware before, and you're actually doing ancestral work, these planets become deeply personal for you. And it's interesting because then you really get to see how they're moving in your chart. I talked about Pluto sextiling my sun being a natal placement in my chart. I did not discover how that energy was at work in my life until probably last year. As I got deeper into my shadow work and as I began to see how individualized this placement is and how I've literally become that placement. And so that's the way that it works. So yes, you'll see it. You'll see it materially manifest in the world, as you said. But then you'll begin to see how these planets spiritually affect the goings on in your life. And you'll see the outcomes of that energy in your life as well, as you start to really, and Pluto is all about the deep reaches of your consciousness, the dark areas of your life, the shadows in your life. That's what Pluto represents. So if you are facing your shadows and if you're becoming friends with your fears, Pluto will be very close and personal to you.
I know you call it a soft pushback. I am in total agreement with all of that. So it's not a because remember collective, and then yes, you have to be doing the individual work because the collective is actually showing you a lot of those fears as well. And
Yes.
so you
And there's
have to be
one
doing the
other
individual. Go ahead.
big, really quick, and then I'll give it back to
Go
you.
ahead, go ahead.
There's one other big word that we need to associate with Pluto. That word is authenticity. The more authentic you are, the more you see the work of Pluto in your life, the more that you are tapped in with what Pluto has come to do. Because Pluto is not here to be friends with your ego. Pluto is going to ask you, who are you truly when everything is stripped, when everything is gone, when you have no money, when you have no friends, when your people at work are talking about you, when your character is being assassinated, when your parents die, when all of these things happen, who is left? Who are you truly? And the beautiful thing is, if you're doing that work every day, one of my favorite sayings is, I die daily. And again, Pluto sextiles my sun. So my sun, you're the sun, and I'm saying it sextiles my sun, but this is actually the placement this is the transit that's over us right now. Pluto and the sun have a sextile currently right now. This is a transit. So the sun is all about your identity. And Pluto is come to face you and say, who are you truly? Who are you truly? When Pluto, whatever house Pluto has come to visit in your chart, when Pluto strips away, when Pluto separates, when Pluto unearths, when Pluto destroys, when Pluto brings death, the question is, who is that's going to emerge out of that? What is that phoenix going to look like? So Pluto is going to be dealing with the authentic, true version of who you are. And that's the one takeaway, individually, that I hope that we leave here with today when it comes to Pluto's energy on an individual level. Okay, back to you, Witch Bee.
So in terms of the taboo, and I'm gonna go into the taboo subjects and taboo, and then you have repression, oppression. Now let me go. You have oppression, suppression, and then repression, right? And I'm pretty sure I talked about this somewhere along the line, in depth, right? Especially when we do the Ho'oponopono, right? So what happens in the for survival, for species wide survival, is that you may have something that is oppressed, so that it can become now, let's say, a societal taboo or a family taboo, like whatever. Right, that's the overarching, oppressed by society, by whatever, right? Or it could seem like, hey, it's unfair, even, right? But it's for whatever reason. Then you have, once it comes down into the individual, you will now start to tell yourself, I can't do this because of the oppression, right? So a lot of people will sort of self punish or self censor, right? That would be like your suppression, because then you start to do it in yourself. The repression becomes when it's automatically now so ingrained within you that you do it on the unconscious level. And so when you have the idea of the death, right, going in, and then for the rebirth is also the unearthing. So this is going down, but then also coming up as well, and then coming into the light. So hence the idea of rebirth. So it does move from the collective and then back to the individual again. So in that respect, it's then you can see like how something can widely affect the society and then affect you individually. And all of that is within the energy of Pluto, of being something being taboo, something being oppressed and suppressed. And there's so many subjects that that you can look at society to view this, to pick your example basically. And yes, you would bring it back to the individual, because you, as working on yourself, which is also at the end of the day that Pluto is still asking, because that is working on the soul, is that you have to be looking at how those oppression and suppression and repression are affecting you and your reaction to it, so that you can actually then free yourself from the generational quote unquote curses, or generational and the ancestral issues that, again, we are unconscious of, because it didn't happen during our generation, and either you were not alive, period, or it's a couple of generations back, or even if it's still one generation back, this wasn't what you think is your sin, right? But still part of what you have to do the work on. So that's part of like that individual aspect of the the Pluto energy. So here we are at abuse, shame, and embarrassment. All of this can become generational. So then it can also affect like your individual, because a lot of the issues, whether it be trauma, abuses that we endure, many times they are generational. Whether then the person may not know that the memory was suppressed from the generation before, because things are passed down from one generation to the next, including crimes. So I'll pass it back to you.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, remember, all of the negative aspect of Pluto are going to be all those crimes, those murders. We're talking about difficult debts. They're debts, but debts that are difficult. So here we are at bankruptcy, right? So when I say debts, I'm not just talking about debt in terms of like, unalive, that type of thing, but also bankruptcy, all of that, money issues, all of this is gonna be generational here, that you still have to be dealing with. And so here, like let's say right now, this energy with the Sun sextile Pluto is actually hitting the hidden desires, the hidden like how do you call it, the obsessions, all of these things, the little issues that you would have that would be hidden, they are coming to the surface for us. And this sextile energy is saying we can actually work on that, because your subconscious is directly now in the sun, right? It is exposed, and you're able to see these within yourself. And so
Can I
now,
say
go
now
ahead.
again is the best time
Yeah.
to be honest with yourself about your desires? And this is funny because this is one of those things that you can do by yourself with yourself. You don't need to confess to anyone. This is really about you understanding and knowing
Pause right
yourself.
there. Pause right there, because this is a conversation that I was actually having with my son. It is pivotal for you to be having this conversation with yourself, because you are having this conversation with your subconscious. Your subconscious is talking to you. We're like right smack in the energies. Sun sextile Pluto. This is the energy. Your subconscious is like, here I am. Like you'll find that how you're reacting to things, how you're reacting to people, how you are all automatically, you might not even know why you feel a certain way, or why you just very much like a real and raw about how you feel about people, places, and things right now. And this is this energy, and it's going right smack into that solar eclipse on April 20th.
Can I
And
can I can
go
I
ahead.
give an example? Because I
Yeah.
really want to get raw. I really want to get all the way raw. So, an example of being honest with yourself about how you feel could be that situation where you have an off and on relationship with someone and you know that they crossed your line. You know, whether it was cheating, whatever your deal breakers are, they trampled all over your deal breakers. But you still love them. But you still want them back. But you still want to make it work. This may not be something you admit to anyone, especially all your friends like, girl, you need to leave them alone. You need to date. You need to do whatever. Um, and maybe time has passed. Maybe it's been years and you're still thinking about that person, or you still wish that things weren't the way that they are. It's okay to admit that to yourself, because that's where the freedom is. If you are in a position where you're having trouble releasing or letting someone go, the best thing you can do to free yourself is to get all the way raw and all the way honest with your true emotions and how you really feel about that person. Sometimes the universe is waiting for you to just get real. And as soon as you get real and say, you know what? They messed around, but I forgave them. I don't hate them. I'm choosing to forget this because I want things to work with them. I'm stuck on them. I love them. And then sometimes the universe will be like, access granted, and suddenly you're free. I really wanted to go all in with this because this is a lesson I personally had to learn about authenticity and being completely honest with myself, because there's a certain image that my friends have of me that doesn't reflect the true softness of my heart. And so as I began to examine that, I started noticing some things, some burdens lifting. So I wanted to share that with you guys, whoever needed to hear that. All right, which be back to you.
So going back to the idea of, because we did suppression, right? So let's go into elimination. Remember, nature eliminates, right? So, and if you're looking at the physical body, that's the recycling that we do. So nature itself is a big recycling. So the process of life itself is elimination. So here you would go into the process of elimination in all of what it means. There's different ways of describing and different ways. Yes, the elimination of shitting shit out.
I was about to say, I heard take a shit.
Yeah, no, because think about the toxin that are produced in the body. So part of this energy will be those uncovering of all these shit that's that's hidden. They will be coming out in societal wise, family wise. So to be eliminated, things need to come out. So even the process of the coming out, the elimination, but not just come out, but pushed out, which is the idea of the birthing, right? So when a baby comes out, it gets pushed out. When a piece of shit is coming out, it gets pushed out. When you have toxin, it gets like the forced elimination. This is like really key, because suppressed materials, the suppression tend to have a pressure that needs to be burst out. This is the process of life. So hence why the whole idea of death and rebirth. So things coming out into the light from, guess what? The dark. And a lot of times, what are you going to find in the dark? All of those taboo subjects, all of those repressed things. And so for that solar eclipse, who knows what kind of pieces of shit is going to come out.
Oh, well, let me tell you
Yo.
something.
Oh yeah,
Let
go
me
ahead.
tell you something. It's going to be a whole lot of shit coming out because, again, Pluto is moving into Aquarius. Aquarius involves lots of people. Again, this is networking. This is social media. This is apps like this, okay, where people come and gather and meet up and associate. The apps like this where we're separated in classes and rooms and groups and clubs and houses. Apps like Facebook and Twitter, we're going to see pieces of shit in the form of the shit that other people have been doing, including ourselves. We're going to see a lot of that shit talking coming to the surface, especially if there were untruths covering up the truth.
Yeah.
Pluto is coming to unearth
embarrassing things, taboo things, shameful things, all of them, materials from the past,
so guess
all
what?
of that.
If you have been lying, if you have not been your true form, your true self, if you have been hiding or holding secrets, telling people something that is not true about other people or yourself, Pluto is coming to knock on your door and say, hey, you get an opportunity to come clean, because look, Pluto is regressing back into Capricorn. So you're going to have opportunities to come clean and it not be so bad. But if you do not, then a lot of that is going to be coming to roost with the chickens. And let me tell you this. We have been doing rooms, and I told Witchby this earlier. I'm saying I told Witchby like I have the authority to tell Witchby anything, but I told Witchby earlier, we were talking about this earlier, about how we just came off of the Medusa star. Remember when we talked about that? Some of y'all were in some of the rooms where we discussed, what was that? Algol?
Yeah, Algol.
And all of that craziness that Algol brought to the collective. People were doing some crazy things during that time. That period of time was the seedlings to what is going to be unearthed now, with Pluto being an Aquarius. So a lot of the stuff that the collective was doing, for those who were operating in lower vibrations, and people started doing rituals, people started doing a bunch of magic, and I'm not saying magic is bad, but I'm saying when you're trying to control somebody else's will, or when you're trying to invoke something negative on somebody else's life, there was a lot of that going on. And I want to say that was 2021, 2022, okay, when Algol was in effect. Well, now Pluto is coming to be like, hey, remember when you did those rituals? Remember when you spoke death over this person? Remember when you lied and created rumors about this person? Remember when you had private, chats to talk shit or to do this person dirty? Remember when you did all that? Oh, well, now we're about to put you on Front Street. We're about to put the spotlight on you. So a lot of that is going to be coming up in the next.
You should say, if she said coming up, I say coming out.
Coming out.
Coming out. Because what happened is, like, the taboo material was laying dormant for a time, but now, the suppressed is going to be exorcised to see the light of the day for reasons still of survival, right? Because, again, Pluto is not unlike Mars. If it's like Pluto goes, Mars is like out, I'm fighting everybody. Pluto's like come out of nowhere. You'd be like, wait, who are you?
Wrecking ball, yes.
Because Mars, you could see Mars coming. Mars is all loud, like and Pluto's just like, because remember, Pluto has the invisible helmet. It's the hounds of hell.
And
Yeah.
this is why I always
So
say,
the energy comes out of
and
nowhere.
just speaking on, because I'm speaking on the rituals and the magic and stuff, because a lot of that was happening and a lot of people are talking about this. But this is why I always say, before you do anything to anyone, I don't care who they are. I don't care if they slept with your husband. I don't care what they did. I don't care who they are. If you are somebody that likes to do spell work, magic, rituals, whatever, the best thing you can do for yourself is do research on that person. Find out who they are. Find out who they are in terms of the cosmos. Find out who they are ancestrally, because you really don't know who you're fucking with. And I think there was somebody else in this room that said they had their sun sextile Pluto. If your sun has a positive aspect of Pluto, right, like that, that's not a person you want to mess with. I don't promise you. That is not somebody you want to mess with, because guess what? We talked about the sun, and this is just one reason. There's several, different things you need to check out about a person, but this is just one thing, right? So if somebody has a sun sextile Pluto, basically you're dealing with someone who has their identity in that very darkness. That means they've lived it, they've walked it, they had the experiences, and they've come out of it if they're still alive. So there's a lot of things that this person can see, and there's a lot of things that this person has experience with and that this person knows. So you really want to be careful when you're dealing with somebody who has a sun, who has their identity to Pluto, because this is not like a Scorpio. We're talking about a whole planet. We're not talking about just the sign, because Pluto rules Scorpio. So even if you have like your moon in Scorpio, a lot of people who have Scorpio placements or heavy Scorpio placements, they're into the occult. They are very knowledgeable about the occult, and they're really good at what they do. But that is still not the same as having your whole identity with a planet. And so there's a certain type of power there that you really want to be careful with when you're dealing with this type of energy. So that's just an example. And the interesting thing is, this is, again, what's happening in the cosmos right now. So a lot of those type of activities are coming to light because the sun is bringing that to light. And when Pluto moves into not the opposition, the square, that's when we're really going to see it. Whitney, do you want to talk about the sun square? Oh my
Oh,
God, that's going to be crazy.
what are you talking about? Like, I
The
didn't,
sun square Pluto. Pluto square the sun.
Pluto square.
When
Wait.
Mercury goes into retrograde, because think about that. So Mercury is going to go into retrograde when when Pluto is squaring the sun. What does that mean?
Oh,
That
yeah.
means that a lot of the past conversations, things that happened in the past, things that were done in the past, are going to be coming into the present for discussion. But it's also going to be in the place of this square. So that's a lot of conflict energy.
A lot of ego conflict. Yep. With not just anybody though, with authority figures, which also, again, and I'm talking about I keep saying collective energy, and then of course we can always bring it back to ourselves, which denote conflicts. Think about what's happening throughout the world right now. There's a lot of protests all over the world. It depends. I don't listen to the news, but I hear a thing or two. There's different protests around the world, and here we are heading straight into a solar eclipse. So, this might move in the United States as well. This is a lot of extreme or destructive behaviors, challenges to authority figure and influential people. So the idea of defending your position, either you're gonna defend your position or you're gonna accept very significant change. This is a very intense energy, which is gonna challenge your psychological issues. Because again, the things are coming into the light, and and your fears, right? It's gonna be bringing your fears, your into the light, because your whatever that issue is, it's gonna be directly challenging your fears. It's gonna be, so either we resolve the fear or we change it, like, or like, you know what I mean, meaning like, I don't know about acceptance here, because no matter what, it's a conflict. So usually the idea of control is here as well. So for this is by the way, I'm talking about the Sun square Pluto, which is the exact transit for the solar eclipse on April 20th. So I mean, we'll do a room for the solar eclipse itself, but just to say, this energy looks very combative, and so a lot of dark energies at war and at fighting. So involving straight fears, shame, all of these issues of taboo subject, all of the oppression, suppression, you name it. Like and again, here we are, death, rebirth, all of that is here. So this is both in the collective as well in your subconscious as well. So fun. Fun. Now, as always, let me put a positive spin into this, right? You can channel this.
Positive spin. No, I'm just kidding.
You can always channel this into a success for your ambition, into your drive, into your business. You know what I mean? If you're adept at doing that, where you can say, hey, here's this energy. I mean, the Sun sextile Pluto is a beautiful energy to do this with. However, the Earth itself, this is all for collective and personal growth. So I doubt that this is going to be an energy that we can just channel into personal success if the Earth is trying to grow with this. So it's definitely going to bring some relationship challenges, both on the individual level and the collective level. So
may I also say that on a positive note, that death and rebirth, you can reside on either side, right? So there are people who are fighting death. They don't want to die. They don't want to transform. They want to stay the same. This is when pain turns into suffering. That is the negative. But there are people who are very receptive to their process. They're very open to what it means to transform. They're very excited about, the butterfly that they're becoming. If you reside on that side, this can all be very beautiful energy. So keep that in mind. If you are prepared and you have made a lifestyle out of doing the shadow work and dealing with your subconscious fears, understanding your ego and setting that aside at times to work on you, being your most authentic self, then this will be a very empowering time for you.
yeah, I think the potential for growth here is so huge. I mean, going into
Huge.
right, your darkness, and bringing, remember this idea of what all of those things that needs to be shitted out, that needs to be eliminated, because remember, these are the things that creates the blockages that is stopping you from being your higher self, from your manifestations, from living your dream. So, actually, yes, it was going to take some work, but you can't, when you work through it, you'll be able to, get rid of those things that is holding you back. But I think it's the idea of first going in, really do the work, and then pushing these things out. And it may not be pretty to go through them, because these are your fears, these are the depth of you. But remember, and that I talk about this, for you to get to your higher self, you have to face that animalistic part of yourself, and in its rawest state. And this is a nice glimpse of it. So it is what it is, right? It is what it is. All right, Infinity. Where are we here?
You want to talk about Pluto opposition?
Go ahead. You wanna?
No. I'm asking you.
No. I'm telling you, go ahead, so that we could go back into the individual signs. That's where I'm at with my
Okay, start the individual signs, and then we can circle back later.
So I mean, to me, like, that's where I'm at in terms of, and of course I just lost my spot. So, how Pluto will affect each sign, real quickly, because, this is not an in-depth reading. So as Pluto journeys through Aquarius, if you are in Aries, it is about the transformation of your vision for the future. Now, this is how you collaborate.
Wait. Before you go too deep, y'all, think about your rising sign specifically, okay? Go ahead.
So one of the things to do, like, if you want to do it correctly, what you would do, you want to be looking the sign at the sign before your sign, and then the sign after. So you really want to be looking at all three, in terms of like how
of your rising.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that you can see how it is that it's affecting you. So, in overall, even if you're like, so for me, like, because I'm close to that 21st, I always do look at Pisces. And then, even though I'm not far from, I'm far, I should say, from Taurus, I still look at it as well.
So if your rising is Aries, you want to look at Pisces and you want to look at Taurus.
Yeah. But basically, that's the idea. And then you want to, you're definitely going to be looking at your own sign, but, keeping in mind how these others will affect you. So, with Aries, it is about collaboration with others. So, community, right? Relating to others in community in a new way. So, social groups, right? So, the social groups that you will be involved with will be going through some transformation. So hopefully, because of the transformation, these can be new connections. So now I think with lessons learned, and seriously, I'm talking about myself here. With lessons learned, how to connect with groups, in a new way, because again, you've learned some hard lessons along the way. Wholeness Victoria, so now what your boundaries are, so you'll be able to clarify your convictions, and then so you can now build those new connections. So this is for Aries. Any thoughts, Infinity? No.
Sorry, I was fiddling with my phone when you said any thoughts. You're talking about Aries, you're talking about collaborations, you're talking about changes in social groups.
Yeah.
Which means what? Meeting new people, right?
Yeah.
New platonic relationships. Yeah, being open to new platforms. New platforms.
Mm-hmm. Well, she went right back into connections with social media.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys caught that.
I'm hiking down now.
Right. So Taurus. uh, so your public facing life. So like how it is that you are seen publicly, right? And I hope that that makes sense. The image that you are presenting out there to the world. So in a way, it is how, like, how it is that the inner you would shine to show your public self. It's never definitely not about Infinity was talking about before about authenticity. So it's definitely not about just surface image. It is about that deep, being able to bring your authentic self out there so that you can shine through. So now this may be a journey because it is an idea of taking back your power, or taking charge of the path that can be laid out for you. Not an easy journey because to show your authentic self, I think sometimes is not, can be said, and some people will say, okay, this is what you want. But to show your authentic self, you first have to find it. So however, here, because Pluto is the subconscious, you are able to, if you do talk to yourself, you can definitely go into the deep dark depth of yourself to find it. And I think that can be a beautiful journey into the self. Now mind you, this is earth energy. I think bulls are pretty stubborn, so I don't know. What do you think, Infinity? But I might be biased. Just
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of bias there. However, I do want to say you may want to slow your roll, because I really see with this type of transit, if Taurus digs deep enough, if Taurus goes real enough, if Taurus gets dark enough, Taurus can come out with a lot of wealth here. So
if it is a level of professionally. If you're able to shine, just saying, whatever.
just saying, just saying.
I'm
So,
biased. I admit that I'm biased. So
that's why I'm trying to gently, give you some.
I did
signs
not
here.
go negative when it came to Taurus. I don't think I did. Did I? Was my subconscious all out there for everybody?
Don't bypass your blessing now.
Anyway, that's funny. But again, the key here, they're all deep work, into looking at these transits. The transit into your sign. It's like it's saying, get to work into this aspect of yourself that is not surface level. None of these are surface level. Okay. So Gemini, the open mind is here. So here's a paradigm shift. So it is a whole overall of your personal belief. Okay, so meaning that you be able to experience all new realms of thoughts and experiences. This can also bring higher education, revelations. It is all about the transformation. So pushing past your comfort zone here. The challenge here is to your beliefs, to your dogmas. So, and then you have to also rebuild new ones. So it can be an intricate, so like, let's say if you had believe one thing and then you're moving through on others, that may require some loss of faith before you get to that, new one. So, Yeah, you may run into some mental and spiritual struggles as you start to, as you one get out of alignment with the old thoughts or dogmas, and then come into alignment with whatever ones you choose here. So that's a pretty deep process of uh, finding yourself as well, Infinity. You hear?
I was trying to unmic all that time. I was like hitting the button the whole time. I was like, oh, she's going to think I'm not here. The first thing I heard when you said Gemini was siblings. I mean, just getting it down to earth. A lot of changes in your relationships with your siblings and your cousins. Family is coming up. Neighborhood is coming up. All of those things that are Gemini related. Your child's school. Things changing in that arena. Being on Earth, things never being the same. So, childhood secrets coming out. Things that you never knew.
Whenever it comes to the whole childhood secret coming out, I'm making a face like.
Things you never knew about your brother or your sister.
So,
or finding out that your sister is really not your sister or your half sister. Things. I mean, like this is like really just down to earth stuff that Pluto changes whole dynamics. So think about that level of change, and that's what you might see.
Leo, are you ready? No.
Here you go.
I'm sorry. People around you may become a mirror to your shadow side.
Wait, what? You said people around you might be
I'm sorry, the people around you may become a mirror to your shadow side.
Start at people and
people around mirror. People around you are the mirror to your shadow side.
Yeah.
I don't know why she think I was hiding. She didn't want to hear it.
I've been getting a lot of that.
So this means the reveal of your identity that you are trying to suppress, right? Or don't want to acknowledge, and then they're just gonna be showing up all around you and the people.
and this is
part of. Sorry, go ahead.
This is why I say the beautiful thing is if you've already been doing that work, that's been happening already.
Yes.
Like if you are, like, for instance, even down to the hair, right? So I'm wearing a wig in this picture, but I've talked about going natural. Most people have never seen my natural hair. Well, now I have my hair in locks. I can't wear a wig anymore. So my hair is locked up. I have sister locks, and I'm growing out my natural hair. Now, imagine if I continue to hide under my wigs. At some point, that part of my identity would be exposed. But now that I have done the exposing and decided, you know what, I'm going natural, I went ahead and made that transformation. That's an area that can't, the only mirroring that can happen is now people around me are going, oh my God, I love your locks. I want to get locks too. So that's the other side that I was talking about when I said you can be on either side of Pluto. You can be on the side where you're resisting the death, or you can be on the side where you're embracing the newness of the changes of the new life. And so this is a great demonstration of what you're talking about. The more I see my own shadow, the more other people are just showing me what I already know. And this is the beautiful thing about shadow work. I was just in a session earlier today, in a coaching session, and I basically, she helped her to come to that understanding. When you do there is no strategy There is no manipulation. There is no, wisdom that is greater than your own shadow work. Because when you do your shadow work, it helps you to see the hearts of other people, even when you're not trying to see them. So, as Witchby is laughing at me, saying that all these people are going to come around me and expose their shadows, that's all they'll be doing is exposing their shadows because I am doing my work.
So, so the key here, Leos, is to yes, take the opportunity to do the work on yourself, and then let go of all those control issues that you would trying to control the situation when. So, yeah, fun, fun. And great example by Infinity, of course. Virgo. Um, so Virgo is about again transformation, but not just transformation like in but the day to day type of transformation. How it is that you are um, dealing with those daily tasks that may bug you down. How because I think sometimes people will the small details is where they get stuck. And so getting into your day to day so that you can get things done is here. So when it comes to day to day, check out your old habits, right? Check out because sometimes the habits that you have, you are comfortable. I think I had talked to this about my son, the idea of getting into the uncomfortable space. A lot of people are always trying to get comfortable. And so understand that life is also trying to make you uncomfortable. So if you consciously get into the uncomfortable space and then you make that where you're okay being there so that, here's your balance here. So noticing your day-to-day habits so you can understand the behaviors that are holding you back, the behaviors that are creating those unhealthy cycles, the repeating cycles over and over. So this may take some work to watch for you, within yourself. But remember, with the Pluto in Aquarius, what we're looking for is to go into the depth and really affect very deep changes in soul development. So here is the idea of yes, sweating the small stuff here for the Virgos, Infinity.
This always happens. I don't know why I mess around with my phone. You're talking about Virgo. Um, so again, down to earth, individualized. I'm thinking Virgo rules the sixth house. The sixth house is your work. The sixth house is your health. And so, if you have the transit in your sixth house, then that would be the area that Pluto would be affecting. And so, once again, we're looking at two sides, right? If you are in a place where you're like, I want to detox, I want to be healthy, I'm going to make a habit to, check my blood pressure or check my blood sugar or do the things that would keep my numbers down if you're of a certain age. And those are the things that you're looking at. If you're a little younger, maybe it's a weight issue, that you want to make sure that your weight is in a healthy weight. So you're already doing that work. Well, guess what? Pluto comes in, that transformation will be beautiful for you because that energy is going to help you to transform in the direction that you're already going in. But if you have pushed back against those things, I still want to eat what I want to eat, I still want to do what I want to do, then Pluto may come to bring you some crushing information about your health that will snap you into or scare you, into doing the right thing. Perhaps you get a message that you don't want to hear about your health. And it's the same thing with your job. If you're holding on to a job that you know that you're being called to a better place, to a higher place, this is really not, your last, your calling, Pluto may come to crash that party as well. And you may find yourself, without a job. But again, the transformation is going to be beautiful because it's going to force you into where you are supposed to go and what you're supposed to be doing. So it's really a double-edged sword, you guys. If you are, doing your shadow work and you're conscious of it, of your alignment, if you're conscious of what you are aligned to in this life, and you're walking that road, you're walking that line, Pluto is going to do nothing but help you get there. But if you are, I don't want to change, I want to keep these habits, you have some harmful habits, and I'm speaking specifically to Virgo because Virgo likes to get neurotic about specific habits that they have, those things are going to be snatched. They're going to be taken. You're not going to be able to do them anymore. So it's really just a matter of, your sixth house energy. And, are you, again, doing that shadow work? Are you doing that shadow work? Pluto can't surprise you with what you already know. And if you are aware of your own secrets, then what's the surprise? But if you've turned a blind eye to your own secrets, then those things will come to light. Go ahead, Witch Bee.
Sure. So we're going into Libra, and here it's about passion, and so passion in two ways. Passion in terms of your passion project. So think about something that you're passionate about, and we can be passionate about our, well, I said two. You can be like, hey, your deep desires, like, it could be it can be a creative project, right? Creative project. And yes, the other passion project can also be love life. So, so the idea of like, what is it that you truly desire? Remember, when it comes to Pluto energy, this can be those taboo subjects. So, so delving into the darker side of your, sexual nature, of your sexual nature here. So, again, yes, Libra is ruled by Venus, but understanding Venus is not just about relationships, but you can, not just romantic relationship, I should say, but all types of relationship. So yeah. Infinity. Go ahead.
Facts. No. Yeah, this is, now we're looking at your one-on-one relationships with people, business relationships, friendships, situationships.
Yes.
I really think Pluto is about to really plow through a lot of situationships. Specifically those relationships that aren't really real. The relationships that are standing in the way of the relationships you're supposed to be having. So if there's that, one person in your life that you're kind of holding on to because they feel safe, but that your person that you really want to be with, I don't want to say marriage because everybody doesn't want marriage, but if you are longing for like that long-term happiness and that person that's going to settle with you and walk with you through life, Holding on to like a half of that, or somebody that's only providing like a fourth of what you want, is not going to cut it. Pluto is going to come and really just snip, 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 cut that away, snip, snip. And so I really see, what I really see is a lot of situationships, a lot of half relationships, a lot of, well, this person provides food and this person provides great sex and this person, is cool for a movie date. You got all these different fragments around you. Pluto kind of, in Libra specifically, is going to kind of, bring a wrecking ball to all of that. And again, bring you back to that authentic place of, do you want a real relationship or not? Like, you saying this, but you're doing that. So what's really going on? And so that's what I think, the Pluto and Libra, may do for some people. For others, this is about business partnerships and things coming to light in regards to who you're in business with and what's really going on with that. So I can kind of see, again, seventh house and eighth house kind of blended with issues with fraudulent relationships, fraudulent business happenings, even court dealings, people who might have gotten away with doing certain fraudulent activities in their business partnerships for quite some time. And again, Pluto is going to come bring a wrecking ball to that. And, if you don't stop, then you might got one last lick before this thing actually hits. And I'm not encouraging anybody to do anything illegal, but I'm saying that if this has been your lifestyle, it won't be too much longer. So this is, in partnerships, this is something that you may see around you, because, forbid it be anybody in this room. But it may be something that you hear or something that you see, when in regards to things coming to light. And we're talking about Pluto. So we're talking about, that eighth house energy anyway. In your partnership. So whether it's, identity theft, people that are running, credit card games and not, whatever it is that you're doing that's kind of not on the up and up, these things will be exposed. And, hope you're prepared for that if you are.
So during this month, wholeness, I am Shadashan. So during this month, the energy of Venus trine Pluto, which is on the this month, I mean April, April 11th. So the energy of Venus trine Pluto actually is this energy where, hey, you run into this either a love relationship or that you fall quickly in love with, or because, hey, it's it could be like a instant attraction. There's that. The other one is like somebody gives you what I explained it as is that somebody tells you this great business deal that if you do it, you'll make lots, you'll become a millionaire. And then boom. And then wait a minute, a few days later on April 14th, boom, Venus squares Saturn. And Saturn is like, yeah, and Saturn is like,
yeah.
Here comes reality.
Let me tell you.
And again, we're talking.
If you know anybody that has some shady business dealings, and that's your friend, that's somebody you care about, please tell them to stop.
And my thing with
please tell them to stop.
With this energy, it was tricky because here we're talking about the overarching energy of what Aquarius is, Pluto in Aquarius. But this month, like seriously, the month of April is literally showing you this thing in mini version. in a mini version. So really look at the transit for this month. It's like literally explaining overall the Pluto and Aquarius. So, which is interesting, like the universe is funny, like in the way it teaches, because if you look, everything is there. It's gonna show you the small of it, the big of it, all in between of it. So, yeah, just that right before
And
the
the universe will give you chance after chance, like depending
to
on where you
redeem.
are in life, you will get away with a lot of stuff sometimes, depending on again where you are in life, before the crackdown begins. But it's again, it can be looked at two different ways. It can be looked at, oh, you got away with it, you got away with it, okay, you stop. Or it could be looked at as you did it for quite some time, but then you still need to learn the lesson, and so things happen to stop you so that the lesson can be learned.
Yeah.
Either way, it's interesting to see how these energies progress and how they turn into other energies just to teach you the lesson.
Just to
And
teach you the lessons, and
yeah,
and people
so
will come in to teach you those lessons. Hence why sometimes when certain people come in and they're giving you a hard time, it's not that, oh, this person is bad. It's literally, this is your lesson incarnate. So just saying, once you're able to see them, it gets pretty, you know it's too bad. Like, well, sometimes when you see the stuff and you see it in people and you can explain it, and actually I find myself not being able to explain it, which is interesting. But anyway, Scorpio. Scorpio, by the way, Pluto rules Scorpio. So here, this is a major transformation into the home and family, right? Home. So whatever the home is now, it's once Pluto goes through this transit, it's not gonna look the same. So there's a lot of shift in how uh, your family's gonna look. So here, the tensions, whatever those tensions are within the family dynamic, will be unearthed, will be shown. So here, again, talking about those family secrets, infinity here, right? So we might need to do a lot of the inner child healing, a lot of inner child work, because some of the issues are gonna be coming from childhood. So learning how to build your foundation, and I talk about this, the overarching energy for 2023 is family. So family is teaching you how to build foundation, how to, and so you're gonna learn where you are nurtured, where you are not nurtured, where the energy is coming from, and so here, this is this energy as well. So you might be finding out. Yes, Infinity was talking about, in this other, was it Libra, about those discoveries. So whatever the issue is between either family members, I don't know, it can be, when we say family, it could be anybody within the family, where you have those resentments, maybe some issues that you never talked about, those family secrets. I don't know, that person who did something, and then that's still within the family. All of that may be maybe being unearthed. So yeah, again, sometimes things are destroyed to be rebuilt, like we've been talking about all. That's the Pluto energy. So you can have the friction in the home, and then it may be destroyed for a time only, so that you can now rebuild it within the correct and healthier foundations. So the first thing that needs to happen, though, is to find out where those cracks are, which would be those resentments, those jealousies, those that are stemming from the childhood. So that's a lot of deep work, and that will definitely change the dynamic of the home. Infinity.
I agree.
Is that what with Scorpio? That's it.
Yeah, because I kind of covered the 7th, 8th house cusp.
Sagittarius then. So communication, how do you express yourself? The idea of how it is that you are communicating within your everyday interaction and how it is that you're relating to the world around you, you need to be making sure that some of these.
Which B, can you speak to the mic? You kind of sound a little
Oh,
muffled.
I'm actually speaking low on purpose because it's getting late by me, and I'm downstairs. Sorry. Let me pull up the mic. I
We're
hope you guys.
almost done.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Okay. I'll bring it up. So I'm trying not to speak too loud. My they're sleeping, and So the idea of this, I'll put it this way: the idea of speaking truth. And I actually, funny enough, the idea of speaking truth, sometimes you would not say something because you're trying to be polite, or you're trying to not hurt other people's feelings, or you're trying to, whatever, but
Not rock the
not
boat,
rock,
not
yes, not
ruffled
rock the boat. You
feathers.
get it. So this isn't going to cut it. You need to be saying what it is that you mean. You need to be here, tell everybody, yeah, there's a big FUs, because this is part of the suppression of the past that is stuck. Right. So not to say that Sagittarius doesn't do that, but I think there's a bit of image here that needs to be broken out. So here, the power of speech is important, because remember, speech and it, like when they say words are spells, so you want to be speaking your truth, but not just in the but in those kind of conversations, versus holding back, not in a nasty way, but that reveals the deeper you. I hope that makes sense. Infinity, go ahead.
Yes, because this goes back to authenticity. And I've been saying this whole room, the best way to deal with Pluto energy is being authentic. Authenticity kind of makes you I don't know, it's like putting on a protective cloak if you're playing a video game or something like that. This is how you deal with the Plutonic energy. So that means, in the case where you were talking about Sagittarius, this is a time to speak your mind. It's the time to say, yeah, what you really feel, what you really mean.
What you really feel, what you really mean. And because sometimes people, they'll stop, I have my hand up my mouth because it's a way of stopping the speech from the heart. It's a lack of expression from the heart that's happening here, and the soul is going to be working on that. You need to be speaking from the heart in that respect. And so when you are skipping words, when you're not saying what you mean in the small little things, that is not speaking from the heart. That is speaking false. That is speaking. So you have to be working on that. And yes, it will go back into now showing your authentic self, and how you truly feel, how you really feel, So, not again, not in a nasty way, but in the real you. So, anything else, Infinity?
Nope.
Capricorn. So this is about your reshaping your personal values and resources. So taking control of your financial life. Notice I said personal values and resources, and then taking control of your financial life. I know, because sometimes people just think money, which it is, but understanding, taking control of your resources mean you're gonna think about your mindset regarding your financials, your mindset regarding money, whether it be like you're over materialistic, where you're too focused on money, or where you have the mindset where it's like you what they call the scarcity mindset, where you always think that you're poor. So all of that, you need an overall. So, or sometimes the way you think about money is the way you make money, right? Or whether you have abundance or lack of. And so all of this, sometimes they are related to your childhood trauma. So, and how it is again, you would think about money or appreciate money, or and again, I know I'm saying money, but I really mean resources, yes, financials, but and then abundance in general. All of that will need an overall. So, because and I'm saying money because Capricorns tend to concentrate on money when it's really about resources. It's really about your personal value. That's what is the abundance. So you'd have to be. This is what you'll be working on, infinity. She's
I
looking
agree.
for them. You just say she agree. I don't know. You're like, so the Aquarius, this is in your sign. So this is the first time in your lifetime that Pluto is entering Aquarius. So the idea of not being able to control, notice that you're the sign of change, right? You bring in the change. And so you have to reconcile with that. You can't control the change. So you have to be able to now embrace the idea of evolution, embrace the idea of change. Notice that this is gonna be that change is what's gonna destroy whatever was. So you're the thing that's gonna come out of the like you're the phoenix that comes out of the ashes. So in rebirthing, you're the rebirth. You're that new thing. And I think all of what that means, it's still finding your identity again. In a way, when we get to rebirth, we have to find out who we are all over again. So just say. So do you get that, Infinity?
I wanted to say, are you laughing or crying?
I'm just because
It
guess
sounds like both.
because think about it, like you're the rebirth, so therefore when you are the new birth, you're gonna be asking yourself, who am I?
Right. And again, for Aquarius risings,
Yeah.
and I know a few, and one who's actually really big on shadow work. It's interesting to watch someone in this real time. They are literally seeing the changes as they go,
Yeah.
to the point where they actually are creating them.
Yes.
And
So
that's where you want to be. You want to be so in the flow in this, and this is why I say Pluto can absolutely be individualized if you are doing the work. If you're doing the work, you can be so in the flow that you're one with it. And this is the place where we all want to be.
I'm gonna do a soft, how do you call it? A soft pushback. A soft. My soft pushback here is that a lot of people are not doing the work, so they are gonna run into the "Who am I?" You know what I mean? Like it was like cool, and so, and then thinking that this is an old them when it's the new them. So sometimes there is a tendency to go back into old habits here because you are not recognizing the new you. So just to say all of that can come with it. So it's what needs to happen is the embracing of the change. As yourself, yes, absolutely. That you are the change, and so, and again, they feel like the embracing of the evolution. I think, yeah. right? The embracing of the evolution. So, yeah, be careful not to, not to loop back in, as interesting, very interesting.
Yep, yeah.
Go
I
ahead.
agree. No, I agree. I said all that I could say. You about to do my rising sign, so let
Pisces.
me be quiet.
Pisces. So Pluto's over the like I think it's interesting with Pisces is that it is that, exploring your past, your shadow side, and the most far reaching corners of your psyche. So you have to be checking yourself when you're acting on impulse to see if you have a hidden motive, or if you are learning to discern between your emotion and your intuition. There's one of the things that I found with soul work is that there's a lot of fine tuning that happens, and that sometimes people will skip because they think, oh, I've got it. And then, then once you get to soul work, it's a lot of little details that needs to be done. And so understanding the difference between emotions and intuition is a big one. It's a little bit of a fine tuning. It's well, hopefully by this time you've already learned to trust your emotions, but understanding that subtle difference is huge. So the key here is that your emotion, both your emotion and your intuition, are more powerful as you move through your awakening. So here within this energy, your dreams are more intense, your mystical powers are more intense. So and so meaning like because of this energy being in Aquarius, if you're Pisces, you're going deeper into the mystics, into the depth of yourself, because remember, this is water, so you're just gonna go deeper. So learning the deeper flow of water, it's be learning how to swim within the emotional flows, which again, the intuition enhances, but you have to know the subtle difference. So that it's a lot to learn, because this is adepthood, this is the mastery of self here. And hopefully you're there. I may not be talking to everybody with depending on where they are within their journey, but in terms of Pisces here, you're already in that water, and yeah, infinity.
Learning how to swim. I agree.
Yeah. LaShawn, I did Sagittarius. Sagittarius was the idea of expressing yourself. All right, the communication. This is communication. The small talk, right? The idea of speaking from the heart authentically. Watch what you say. So yeah, right. Being here, being present, all of that. The What you say is going to affect what is, right? No, in the age of Aquarius, a lot of our manifestation is instantaneous, and so when people are willy-nilly saying things, they are actually making things into beings. And so the way you are, because remember, we're literally straight acting from our subconscious. The subconscious, funny enough, like especially when we do the Ho'oponopono, if you tell it whatever you tell it, it's gonna grant you a wish. Anything that your subconscious doesn't do for you is because it's trying to protect you. In which case, that's still doing things for you. So once you're able to get to be your subconscious's friend, you'll notice that your manifestations are like this, because it's gonna do what you want, So, but you have to learn how to talk to it, and all of these lessons are. And to talk to yourself, you need to be talking from your heart. You can't be, you have to be able to express from your heart space. That's part of that authenticity, the authentic you. So what you say has to be what you mean, what you feel, and not something, not lies, not cutting corners, not trying to please society, not pleasing the Joneses, but really what you mean, even in the small little talks, especially here. Yeah. All right, Infinite, am I still here?
Nope.
Oh, okay, all right.
I agree. And that was the last one, correct?
Yeah, the last one was Pisces. It's just that somebody had asked about Sagittarius again, and then I went back.
Oh, right.
Okay. All right, so Pisces was the last one. So hopefully you guys are a little bit more adept with Pluto and in Aquarius, and I will chop up this video and post it up, on all the different places so that it can be seen. And then of course,
so we will be doing rooms on the Mercury retrograde coming up.
Yes.
How we'll touch on how Pluto
and the solar
Capricorn will be
the solar eclipse and Mercury retrograde. So
we'll touch on all of these as they come. And you'll see the rooms either in Abundance Portals or House of Infinity, depending on what it is. And did you say you wanted to do a deep dive on Persephone? We'll do that too.
Yeah, we haven't done the goddesses in a while, and I think Pluto's screaming out for us to do Persephone.
Yes,
so
I feel that as well.
Yeah, so we'll do
it.
All right. Because then I bet you what that's gonna show us is a different aspect of Pluto. So remember, the feminine energies are a lot of the main energies are like masculine, and then those asteroids are the feminine energy, and boy, do they reveal a lot of the aspect of the energy. So I'm sure we'll learn way more about Pluto from Persephone.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to open up a whole thing for us to, kind of go even deeper.
Yeah, so if you haven't gotten into asteroid astrology, Infinity and I have been going deep into it for the past year. Check out our replays. We've done a lot of work on this. So as well, and check out my links. You'll find I have an ebook that's up on the asteroid, and many of the asteroids.
I kind of got rid of a lot of the 1111 experience rooms, but we can always do them again.
All right, but in either case, yes, we can always do them again. It's a great deep dive. So definitely check out the link, and then you'll find the ebook. Okay, so Infinity, your last word, and what am I saying? Your last. Forever hold your speech.
Wholeness. That's my last word.
That's her last word.
I am going to sleep, y'all. This was a beautiful room. Thank you for coming.
2 hours.
Thank you for adding your energy. Thank you, Witchbee. Thank you. Because you already know, I could not do this without you. So had a great time, and just look out for us as we continue to build on this Pluto in Aquarius energy and what it will look like by this time next year. A lot of our lives are going to be changing, so it's going to be beautiful to see. I'm very positive about this energy. So,
absolutely. With that being said, thank you so much, everybody. Have an amazing night. I have been going all day. I'm tired.
Yes, lay down because I'm already
not
there.
Kidding. I've done 20 videos for recording, and an hour and a half earlier on TikTok, and then this 2 hours done. So I'm tapped out. Have an amazing night. Wholeness, everybody.
Good night. Wholeness.